The Philippine flags were still waving. The chants of Alex were still echoing around the stadium. But the match was over. It was almost 1 o'clock in the morning in Cincinnati, and thousands of Filipino fans who had stayed through every point, every long rally, every moment of tension were suddenly facing a painful reality. Eala was walking off the court. Amanda Anisimova had completed the comeback. A 4-6, 6-4, 6-2 victory had ended Alex's Cincinnati run. But the most heartbreaking moment wasn't the final point. It was what happened afterward. As Alex looked toward the stands, the emotions became impossible to hide. Fans who had traveled from across the United States had tears in their eyes. Some had driven for hours just to watch her play. They had stayed until the early hours of the morning, believing Alex could produce another unforgettable victory. And Alex saw them. She felt that emotion. For a moment, the match wasn't about rankings. It wasn't about a WTA 1000 tournament. It wasn't even about winning or losing. It was about the extraordinary connection between one Filipina tennis star and the community that has followed her rise. Welcome back to Ace Rally Brief. Tonight, we're breaking down Eala's heartbreaking Cincinnati exit, the incredible 3-set battle against Amanda Anisimova, the emotional farewell with her Filipino supporters, and why this defeat may actually be another major step forward in Alex's remarkable journey. Because Cincinnati didn't end Eala's story. It showed the world just how far that story has already come. The matchup was always going to be enormous. Alex entered Cincinnati as the 17th seed after winning her first WTA Tour singles title in Washington only weeks earlier. That title run had completely changed the conversation around her. She had defeated major names, including Jessica Pegula in the final. Then came Toronto. Alex reached the round of 16 at another WTA 1000 event before her 7-match winning streak ended against Olympic champion Belinda Bencic. Still, she arrived in Cincinnati with confidence. She wasn't coming in hoping to surprise people. She was coming in expecting to compete. And the stakes couldn't have been higher. Across the net was Amanda Anisimova, the 9th seed, world number 10, a former world number 3, a 2-time Grand Slam finalist, and a player who understood exactly what it meant to perform under enormous pressure. For Alex, a victory would have sent her into the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 tournament and matched her best result at that level. The stage was ready. The fans were ready. And Cincinnati had become a sea of Philippine flags. The chants of Alex filled the stadium. Even Anisimova knew what kind of atmosphere she was walking into. She had already acknowledged Alex's incredible season and the enormous support surrounding her. But she wasn't intimidated. She embraced the environment. And then the match began. The opening set quickly became a battle of survival. Neither player was willing to give away control. But then came one of the most dramatic games of the entire match. Alex fought through an extraordinary game that lasted more than 20 minutes. 13 deuces. Think about that. One game. More than 20 minutes. Point after point. Advantage after advantage. And the Filipino fans refused to stop. When Alex finally earned the break, the stadium exploded. She had taken a 3-2 lead. And suddenly, the possibility of another major upset was becoming real. Alex protected the advantage. Then, in the 10th game, a powerful backhand winner helped her close out the opening set. 6-4. The crowd erupted. The momentum belonged to Alex. And for a moment, it looked like another chapter of her incredible summer might be about to unfold. But Anisimova wasn't finished. Not even close. And this is where the match changed. The American began finding her rhythm in the 2nd set. Her serve became more effective. Her ground strokes started landing with greater authority. Instead of allowing Alex to dictate the pace, Anisimova began pushing her backward. The match was getting more physical. The rallies were getting heavier. And the clock kept moving deeper into the night. Past midnight. The fans were still there. The players were still fighting. Every point seemed to carry more weight. Alex continued to battle, but Anisimova managed to take the 2nd set 6-4. 1 set apiece. Now everything came down to the deciding set. And Alex started it exactly how her fans wanted. She attacked immediately. She broke Anisimova in the opening game. Then she built a 2-0 lead with back-to-back backhand winners. The stadium exploded again. The chants became louder. The Filipino fans were on their feet. Alex was 2 games away from turning the match into another unforgettable victory. But then came the moment that changed everything. Anisimova refused to disappear. She held. Then she broke back. And suddenly, the momentum began moving in the opposite direction. Alex had been the player controlling the energy. Now she was fighting to stop the Americans' comeback. Anisimova found another gear. Her powerful serves began landing. Her ground strokes became heavier. Alex was pushed further behind the baseline. And then came one of the strangest but most important moments of the match. Anisimova managed to hold serve despite committing 3 double faults. That was resilience. She was struggling, but she found a way through. And from that moment, the match began slipping away from Alex. The American won 6 consecutive games. 6. Alex had started the deciding set with a 2-0 advantage. Now the match was over. 4-6, 6-4, 6-2. Anisimova had completed the comeback. And Alex's Cincinnati journey had ended. But here's the part that makes this defeat so painful. Alex wasn't blown away from the beginning. She was right there. She won the first set. She led 2-0 in the deciding set. She had the crowd behind her. She had the momentum. She had the opportunity. And yet, Anisimova found a way to survive. For Alex, that is going to hurt. Especially because this was another opportunity to add a top 10 victory to an already impressive 2026 season. Her record against top 10 opponents now stood at 7-3. But the numbers don't tell the entire story. Because the emotional scene that followed said much more. Alex walked toward the exit. The stadium atmosphere completely changed. Only minutes earlier, the crowd had been roaring. Now there was silence. The fans who had spent the entire night cheering for her were visibly emotional. Some had traveled from California. Others had come from New York. Some had driven for hours. They stayed because they wanted to witness Eala make history. Instead, they witnessed heartbreak. But they also witnessed something else. A player who gave everything she had. And when Alex looked back at the crowd, she saw their emotion. Her own eyes began to fill with tears. That moment captured something bigger than tennis. Alex has built a relationship with Filipino supporters that goes beyond a normal player and fan connection. They don't simply watch her matches. They travel for her. They stay late for her. They fill stadiums with Philippine flags. They chant her name. And when she wins, they celebrate with her. When she loses, they hurt with her. Alex raised her hand and waved goodbye. It was a simple gesture. But to the fans, it meant everything. They responded by cheering for her again. Even after the loss. Even after the heartbreak. They didn't turn away. They wanted Alex to know that the support wasn't dependent on the scoreboard. And that may have been the most powerful moment of the entire night. Because Alex had already given them an unforgettable summer. Washington. Her first WTA Tour singles title. Toronto. Another deep run at a major WTA 1000 event. Cincinnati. Another strong performance against elite competition. The journey may have ended with a loss, but the progress was undeniable. And even Amanda Anisimova recognized it. After the match, the American praised Alex's fighting ability. She described her as a great player and a fighter. That matters. Because respect from an opponent who has just defeated you can sometimes say more than any ranking. Anisimova had just survived one of the toughest atmospheres of her tournament. And she understood the quality of the player standing across the net. She also acknowledged the Filipino supporters. She knew how loved Alex was. She felt the pressure of the crowd. But she also found energy from the atmosphere herself. And that tells us something important. The Eala effect is real. Alex is creating an atmosphere around her matches that opponents notice. The flags. The chants. The emotion. The support. It's becoming part of the experience of playing Alex Eala. But now let's zoom out. Because Cincinnati was only one chapter. Alex's larger journey has been extraordinary. She became the first Filipino player to win a junior Grand Slam. She later made a stunning run at the Miami Open, defeating multiple Grand Slam champions and reaching the semifinals. Then came the historic US Open breakthrough. She became the first Filipina to win a Grand Slam main draw match. Then Washington happened. Her first WTA Tour singles title. She defeated 3 top-seeded players along the way, including world number 3 Jessica Pegula in the final. And now she's competing inside the world's top 20. That is the real story. Cincinnati didn't erase any of it. If anything, it added another layer. Because Alex is learning what it takes to compete consistently against players who have already experienced the biggest stages in tennis. And Anisimova gave her a brutally valuable lesson. You can lead. You can have the crowd. You can win the first set. You can even lead the deciding set. And still, the match can disappear if your opponent finds another level. That lesson hurts. But it can also make a player stronger. And now there is another stage waiting. The US Open. The final Grand Slam of the season. For Alex, this isn't simply another tournament. It's another opportunity to show how much she has grown. She won't arrive as an unknown player anymore. She'll arrive with a WTA title, a top 20 ranking, major victories, a growing international fan base, and enormous expectations. The pressure will be greater. The opponents will be ready. And every match will be another test. But perhaps Cincinnati prepared her for exactly that. The defeat was painful. The tears were real. The fans were heartbroken. But the journey is not over. Eala walked out of Cincinnati without the victory she wanted. She walked away from a match she was leading. She walked away after giving her supporters another unforgettable night. But she also walked away knowing that thousands of people were still standing behind her. The Philippine flags may have gone still. The chants may have faded. The stadium may have emptied. But the support didn't disappear. And neither did Alex's dream. Cincinnati gave us heartbreak. It gave us drama. It gave us one incredible 3-set battle. But most importantly, it reminded everyone that Eala is no longer simply a promising young player. She is a player the tennis world is watching. A player her opponents respect. A player whose fans will follow her anywhere. And a player who is still climbing. The Cincinnati run is over. But the next chapter is already waiting in New York. The US Open begins on August 30th. And after everything Alex has experienced this summer, one thing is certain. She will not arrive there empty-handed. She will arrive with experience. She will arrive with belief. She will arrive with the support of an entire community. And she will arrive with something every great player eventually needs. The memory of a painful loss. Because sometimes the match that breaks your heart is the match that teaches you how to win the next one. Cincinnati belongs to Amanda Anisimova. But Eala's story is still being written. And judging by everything we've seen so far, the best chapter may still be ahead. This is Ace Rally Brief. We'll see you in the next one.